Hello, in this video I will show you how to create a punch feature to be used with this punch tool command to create shapes like this. So basically these are some punched holes with thread. The idea here is to create it in such a way that you will only have to draw a point and select the size of the thread, and everything else will be created automatically. So the end result will work like this. You will click punch tool, select your iFeature or punch, select the point where you want to have it, select the dimension and hit OK, and everything else is done automatically. So let's see how we can make this from the beginning. First of all, I will start a new part or sheet metal part, doesn't matter at this moment, and I will create a new sketch. So this sketch will be on one of the planes, and I will just create some rectangle which will represent a sheet metal face. Let's say it will be sized around 100 millimeters. It's the dimensions of this rectangle are not important. So I will finish the sketch and I will convert this to sheet metal. I will hit sheet metal defaults and select some sheet metal rule that has units in millimeters. You can change the thickness here if you want, but it's not important in this moment. And create a face, so we have something to work on. Now I will create a sketch here, so simple to the sketch on this face, and at this point you have to make sure that there are no edges projected. In my case, I have already disabled this automatic projection in Tools, Application Options, and here in Sketch I have this, I think that, yeah, this one is disabled. By default it's not, so you will maybe have to select everything here and hit delete on your keyboard to delete all projected edges. You don't want any references here. Then create a point somewhere, anywhere, and then create a circle. This circle will represent the cutout size on this face. So the actual thread diameter will be smaller than this. So let's say I will create this. I will name it somehow. So let's say this is diameter, maybe base, equals, let's say I want to create thread for 6 millimeters. So let's make this a bit bigger, 8 or 9, maybe 9 millimeter. And also I will create a line. In 2006 I have midpoint line. In older versions you will have to create a constraint somehow, so I just need a line to make two halves of this circle. And then finish the sketch. Now create a cut and use the half of the circle. I'm doing this so that we can have only one reference geometry to position this. So in this case I want to limit this to the point we created on the first sketch. That's why we are going a bit around with this geometry creation. I created only half of the circle, so I get this face on which I can place a new sketch to create the missing geometry for the thread. So I will click here and create a new sketch here, and I will now project this geometry. Make sure that you don't project everything, just this top line. So like this, select it and make it construction line. Then draw a line, ordinary line, and you can just click and hold the mouse button here and then pull in this direction and you will get tangential arc. So let's say this goes somewhere here, and I have some line extension here. I didn't draw very precisely, so I have to make some constraints. So this will be tangent, and also I want that this is on the same horizontal line, so we have full 90 degrees here. Then I will create an offset. Right click and deselect loop select and just select those two. Right click, continue, and create some offset here, and then finish the loop with two straight lines here and here. Then create a dimension and this should be equal to thickness of the part. So you can just click this arrow and click list user parameters and select here thickness. So we will use this to revolve around. If we want to revolve, we also need some line. It will be an ordinary line in the middle here. So to avoid any problems, I will make it 1 millimeter long. This looks good. And then we have to create some dimensions. First of all, I want to dimension this. First click this line, and then this one, and then right click and linear diameter. So we have diameter actually. Let's say we want to have thread of 6 millimeters. I'm not sure what's the internal measurement, but I will enter here 5.5, and while doing this I will also rename this diameter thread, let's say, equals 5.5. That's it. And also we need to have this dimension that represents the height of this, and I want to have this, I don't know, 2 maybe, or 2.5, something like that. And I can also rename this, so let's call it height, like this. Okay, I have the sketches now. I can now finish this, and I will create the other half of this cutout now. I will just turn on this sketch and create another cut, and now I will create the missing revolution. So I will find the revolution here on a 3D model, revolve, create this profile, select this axis and hit OK. So now the geometry is done, and we also need a thread. Threads are here. Select the face and then select the standard you want to use. I will use metric profile, and I will place 6 millimeters. So this looks good, and let's hit OK. I can now turn off this sketch, and I will save this as my temporary part. Okay, now the geometry is done, and now we will save this as an iFeature. You can do this by going to Manage, Author, and hit Extract iFeature. Here we have a slight complication because we have a thread here. Let me explain quickly. We have here two types of iFeatures. One is standard, another one is sheet metal. Normally I would use sheet metal because we are dealing with sheet metal and we have some additional properties here. But if we have threads, for some reason we cannot add thread dimensions later if this one is used. So in this point you can decide if you will have separate iFeature for each thread size. In that case you can use this one. But if you want to have only one feature with option to select different threads, then you will have to select this one. So that I can show you how this could be done, I will show the standard iFeature because it doesn't really matter in this case. So I will select standard iFeature, and then I have to define what I want to include in the iFeature. So just go here in your feature tree and select the first cut. Everything else should be selected. Oh well, cut 2 isn't, so I hit this one too. The most important thing here is that you have here only one plane and nothing else. You have the parameters here that will go through. All the parameters that were previously renamed are included, so that's okay. So I will just save this for now. Those iFeatures are by default saved to this location. It can be different in your case. It's defined in application options. So I will just go in punches, and I will call this, let's say, A1. Save. Okay. So now in this case we can test if it works, but I won't be able to select just thread size to define the entire geometry. But let's see if this works. I have some test part here, and I will click punch tool, and then I can select my new punch from here. It's this one, A1. I want to have it here. I can select all the measurements separately, but I cannot select the thread size. So I'll just leave those and click OK to see if it works. It works fine. It also includes the thread. But now if you want to modify this iFeature to alter the selection system, you can open it as a file. So I can just go to Open, and select the IDE file that was created just before. My IDE files are saved in this folder. To make this easier, I will just copy this and then go to Inventor, click Open, and I will paste this one here, and I will open this IDE file. What we can do here now is we can click iFeature Author Table and edit this in similar way as you would do for iParts. I have here table, and I have here all the dimensions and features and so on. The problem I was explaining before is related to this tab threads. It is not present if you use sheet metal punch. So that's why I use standard. Because if I want to define threads, I have to select this thread designation here and set it as one of the options. So at this point I can also select keys. I can say this one is key 1. It can be the only key, so this one will define all the other dimensions. So let's say I also want to have, I don't know, M8 or M5. Maybe let's say I want to have M5. This one will be 4.5, and I can also make this a bit smaller. This is the base circle, and maybe here a bit bigger for let's say I want to have this 8 millimeters. Like this, and this one will be 8. This I can also change. Let's say that for this one I will have a higher edge of 3 millimeters maybe. If I click verify, it will check the size of the thread. If I miss it, I have to somehow edit it. I think this one is 0.8 or something like that. So this looks good now. So what we have done here is we have set this iFeature in a way that we will only select the size of the thread, and everything else will be selected automatically. So I can click OK and click Save. You could also change an icon here if you wish. So the iFeature would have a nice icon of this shape. I won't go this far in this case, so I will just save this and close it. So let's try how this works now. I will click Punch tool again. I will select my A1 punch. It will be created here, but now I also have an option to select the size. I will say it's M8, and you can see it's a bit bigger. Let's create another one. I will create a sketch, let's say here, and create a point, and click another one, and this one will be maybe a bit smaller, size M5. So like this. In this video you learned how you can create a punch tool with threads that can be used on sheet metal parts. Punch tool was created by modeling this shape in a bit specific way to avoid having too much additional geometry for setting position. And after the punch was created, we also changed the way how the dimensions are defined by opening the iFeature itself and setting the system of setting dimensions in iFeature definition table. I hope this was useful. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.